How y'all doing today? My name is Damien Pacheco from the Reaching Branch, and you're watching Root Rant, my unscripted, unedited, unrehearsed talk on a particular subject matter that happens to be on my heart right now that hopefully has some benefit to you. Today we're going to be talking about a kind of cool story, actually. My first coffee tasting as a young barista in a small town, in a small coffee shop that's part of a much larger conglomerate. So, let's talk about it, shall we? I want you to picture something. Picture your first day on the job. Any job, doesn't matter what it is. You could be a banker, you could be a lawyer, you could be a doctor, whatever. And I want you to go back to that moment for a second, and I want you to remember what it was like that first day. You're probably a little unsure of yourself. Maybe you've got a degree in whatever it is that you're doing. And regardless of your prior expertise in school, actually being on the job and in the situation's a little bit of a different story. Now picture somebody who got their degree in music, has a master's degree in trumpet and jazz performance, and is on the job as a barista. Knows nothing about coffee except what his grandmother used to do. And now mind you, my grandmother used to have coffee on the stove. She'd make it on the stove. She'd take one cup and another cup, and then she'd do this. This cup would have the drink. She'd go whoosh, and it would fall into this cup, and then she'd go shh. And that was how I learned about coffee as a kid. I thought it involved all of this fancy schmancy stuff. So when I walk into an establishment that does none of that, that has brewers and grinders and pour-overs and French presses and Chemexes, you can imagine my mind was blown. So, now imagine day two. You figure, I've got this. First day went well, no problems. My shift manager goes to me, she says, Damien. And I said, yes. She says, the district manager is coming in today. We want you to give the coffee tasting, and I'd like you to do a French press of Kenya for him. And I said, that's great, I'm excited. What the heck is a French press? Shift manager completely flabbergasted that I don't know what a French press is. And then I said to her the golden question of the day. Oh, and by the way, where's Kenya from? Ugh. Damo fail. Anyway, long story short, she told me that this thingy right here, this beautiful contraption here with this lovely coffee here, is called a French press. And it's a full immersion method. You got the coffee in there, you got your little press, you press it down, you serve it, 4 minutes, yada yada yada. Great. She tells me where the coffee's from. As it turns out, it's from, who would have guessed it, Kenya. And that it's got some nice citrus notes to it, and it's a medium blend. Yeah, great. She says, you're gonna go do it. So I read the bag, I'm doing everything, and my district manager comes in. I'm shaking in my boots. I'm like, because I've never done this before. I've never done a coffee tasting before. I'm scared. What am I going to say to him? Who is this guy? He's probably a giant. He's probably like 6'5" and whatever, and probably going to look at me and be like, you know nothing about coffee. And so, of course, the calm and collected me that you see now, back then had the jitters. But we go, and I make the French press, and I say, this is Kenyan coffee, and this is in a French press. And the coffee sits there for 4 minutes, and then, coarse ground, and you do this, and Kenyan coffee goes well with grapefruit. It's a fabulous pairing. And my district manager said to me, well, that's very nice, and, encouraged me. And at the end of it, I came away with something. One, my district manager at the time was a lot smaller than I thought, but he's a fabulous gentleman. And two, gosh darn it, I'm alive. In fact, I survived. I did very well. And, well, wow, that was fun. I actually want to do it again. I think I'm going to make another French press tomorrow. And in fact, I did. And I did the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and eventually I started doing French presses all the time. Why? Because I enjoyed it. I started to realize that there was nothing wrong with making a French press. In fact, it was kind of fun to go and share coffee knowledge with other people. Gosh, what a novel idea. Sharing knowledge, having a good time, sharing a cup of coffee, community, camaraderie. Heck, great idea. But I learned another principle that day. And it's the principle of jumping in. You see, folks, regardless of the situation that we might find ourselves in, there are very few situations that we're really faced with that are really life and death matters. Most of the things that we want to do or think about doing, like for instance, let's say going to a haunted house during Halloween, like one of those really scary ones, right? Is it going to kill you? No. What stops a lot of people from going? They don't want to be scared. What they're missing out on is maybe the opportunity of having a really great time being scared because, you know what, there's no danger. Or is there really something wrong with going to a painting class? I've never painted before. Everybody else is going to be better than me. Well, you know what? You won't know if it might be your calling unless you've tried it out. It ain't going to kill you. It's going to take maybe an hour or two of your time. But then if you jump in and you just get involved and you just be a part of something that takes you out of your comfort zone, who knows what you might learn? And that was the experience that I got from being forced into, literally thrown into a situation where I had no control. Now, could I have said to my shift manager or my district manager, you know what, I'm really not into this, yeah, sure, I could have done that. But think of what I would have missed out on. It turns out the relationship that I had with my district manager after that was extremely powerful. And I have a great friend out of that now. But it also gave me the confidence to start sharing because I realized that I had a strength zone in talking to people, in being able to share information and to communicate and to just share my passion of coffee and people in general. I enjoyed being able to talk around a cup of coffee about anything, regardless of whether or not it was coffee, because I started to realize that coffee led to other things. I could talk about social things. I could talk about environmental things. I could talk about what it's like to be in a coffee shop and hospitality. In fact, I just did a talk recently at Nassau Community College on hospitality and how people interact in a business setting. And guess what? I could directly attribute that to that first coffee tasting, being able to jump into the moment. So what I challenge you guys to do today is to start looking at all those little things that maybe you've been putting off for a little bit. Maybe those things that scare you just a little bit. And you're like, I don't know if I want to do it. It's going to take me out of my comfort zone. It's going to stretch me a little bit. Be stretched. Try something different. Do something that will take you out of your comfort zone, something that will force you to grow. Because once your mind has been expanded, it can never go back to what it was before. Now it's in an expanded state, and you have grown, and you have been able now to give more value to other people because your experiences, the depth of your knowledge, the depth of your understanding has grown. So without further ado, folks, I challenge you to go out there and do that. Go find something that stretches you. Don't just dip your toe in, but really jump into the situation and just go for it, because you never know how much you can grow. So, with that, once again, my name is Damien Pacheco from the Reaching Branch. May you reach from your roots towards the life of your choosing, bearing good fruit all the way. Enjoy.